Hi guys and welcome back to Christian Cast where I build baits so you don't have to. It's been a long time since I've been airbrushing and I'm really looking forward to today's airbrushing tutorial. We're going to be using one of my updated Swimbait blanks. I'm pretty happy with the action itself. I know how to weight them already. I'm going to do a tutorial towards that once I release the STL that you guys can actually download the STL and create your own swim bait. It will be also having the tail STL that you can cast your own tails and just things like that. I'll anyway go into that detail once I release the tutorial on how to make your swim bait that it achieves the same action I actually am using, how much weight I use, how I prepare the baits and everything like that. And today we're just going to be focusing on a airbrushing tutorial to get a little bit of practice again and try and see what we are able to get. I've still got the lure in the tank with the scraped up optic to see if it pulls water. I'm still going to leave that in a little bit more. It's been really long time now in there, but it's just floating around. There's some bubbles that I can see already quite well. We'll anyway go into that in a separate video. And I'll straight away pop you guys over. And I would like to try something with the swim bait in optic of a brown trout with a little bit of UV action, so it won't be completely a brown trout because we're going to be adding a little bit of a orange tummy towards the top and back, so it's not going to be the classic brown trout, but we want it to be a little bit more visible because a good friend of mine who really enjoys fishing and always goes for hookos, the season has been or has started already or will be starting soon, and he asked if I could make him a bait, and I thought I'll maybe just try and see if I can actually make one of my swim baits in that optic with a little bit of UV action and things like that. So we'll look into that straight away today, and I'll pop you guys over to the desk and we'll get started. So whoever has been following my journey with bait building and things like that knows that the first step is going to be grounding with some white, and we'll straight away go ahead and hit our tail with some white to really clear up all the print lines that still are there after the sealing process. So we'll straight away go ahead and add our white. So that is going to be our tail. I'll set that off to dry a little bit and straight away go into our head. So we'll let that dry now a little bit, and then I'll go over with 1 second coat of white before actually going into the rest of the colors, but I'll anyway take you guys with because we want to really cover up the lead holes that we have created, and because you still see them coming through a little bit, so we'll try and cover that up quite nicely before going into any other colors. So the next thing I'm going to be adding is a metallic medium, just to bring in a little bit of shine very subtly along the whole flank of our bait before adding some silver then in the next step. Just like that. So now we've got this nice little pearly white shine on our bait, comes out quite nicely, and now we'll start adding a little bit of Liquitex acrylic ink with some silver particles in it. I'll actually do a little bit of a mix. I won't be washing out the airbrush cup. I'll just add it to the airbrush right now, and then we'll straight away go into the next layer of some silver before actually going into some darker tones of silver and some gray, but I'll anyway take you guys with. So I've added our silver Liquitex acrylic ink, and I'll just go ahead and go over the top and bottom. You don't really see a lot of the change because of the metallic medium, but it's going to be very subtle. So now I've done that, and I'll get you back for the next step. So now we've got our gray locked and loaded, and we're just going to darken down the top a little bit before going into brown, gold and green tones. So I'll straight away start. I'll be a bit further away, just like that. So that's going to be the grey tone for us on the head, and now I'll head over to the tail. So now I'm happy with that. We'll let that dry, and then we'll be heading into some brown tones, some gold tones, cleaning up the top with the green as soon as we added our scales, and then we'll also be going in with a little bit of detail, hand painted today. So yeah, let's see what it turns out to be at the end. So we've got our brown in, and now I'm gonna go over the head and darken down towards the middle of our lower blank. It's going to be a little bit stronger. That is going to be the first layer before going into some other colors, a little bit of gold, a little bit of copper or bronze, and some green tones. So sadly don't have too much of the gold anymore, so we're going to be quite sparing with it, and I'll straight away go ahead and go along the lateral line, just like that. It's also thickened up a little bit, so it's not the nicest to spray, but we'll make the best out of it and just see how it goes. So I'm quite happy with that. Now I'm gonna add some bronze towards the gold and make a own color mix just to blend in the brown and gold colors with a little bit of this bronze, but you'll anyway see that in a moment. So we've got our bronze gold mix, and now I'll go ahead and blend in the top corners. So that's going to be that. And now we're going to go ahead and darken down the spine with some green, or we'll start with the scales. We have got our olive green in the airbrush, and now we're just going to go over the top and really darken down nicely. It's also nearly finished the color, so it's also quite hardened, and I just am quite rough with spraying today, but we'll see how it turns out anyway. That's gonna be the olive for us. So that is gonna be that part. Now I'll let this all set nicely before going into any other colors still. So until now we've been quite true to the brown trout optic. I would be doing some scales, some hand painting, and now I'm actually going to add something that I wouldn't do, but due to the fish liking it quite a lot, is I'm going to be adding a little bit of UV active color to the belly at the front, just like this. We're not going to be going too bright. We're going to try and keep it as subtle as possible, but that is going to be pretty much it. And it's a little bit reflective, not a lot. I don't want to add too much because I think it would disturb the optic itself. And just like this, we've still got a little bit of the white belly, a little bit of orange. We'll be still adding the scales and everything over, and we don't disturb too much of the optic that we have created. So I'll do this now still with the tail as well. So I just wanted to see what we end up with at the moment, and I quite enjoy it. It's not exactly what I wanted to do, but it actually still looks quite okay. And we'll head into the scales. I'll be doing a very light scale pattern today, and just try to really not mess up too much of the colors underneath. So we'll be doing a metallic medium white and silver black mix for the scale. So it's going to be a three-parted scale pattern, again before adding the fins and the eyes and everything. So I prepared everything for the scale pattern, and will, as said, use some white for the first color. And that's gonna be it, pretty much. Going just from the top very horizontally onto our lure. I'll let that dry, turn it over, do it from the other side, and then we'll be hitting it with a silver black mix from the front, so from this direction, and then we'll hit it with a metallic medium from this direction, and then you get a little bit of a better optic. And I won't be pushing you guys through that process because it's always a little bit of drying and waiting and things like that, but I'll show you the result once we unwrap our bait, and then we'll still clean up the top with a olive green bronze mix, and then we'll be ready for painting on some details and the fins and everything like that. So welcome back. We are gonna pop out our bait straight away. So as you see, we scuffed up a little bit at the top here, but I'll clean that up anyway in the next step. I'll just make sure that we get off all the excess before we actually touch it up with a other color. So that is gonna be a little bit of cleanup, but otherwise I really like the scale pattern itself, so that is cool. But I don't find the way I add the scale mesh that ideal yet. We're looking into different ways. I'm actually thinking of getting a crochet webbing holder kind of thing, because this is really not ideal at all. So I have to clean off this, and we'll see that we can really get to the base again before adding the touch-up color. But otherwise I am quite happy with how it looks for now. I'm still going to clean up the belly with some more orange, that comes out a little bit stronger, and we're also going to go over the top with some olive green, as I said anyway, mixed with some bronze in the next steps. So as you know, I normally don't do so much painting anymore after the scales are on, but today we have to because I messed up with the scales, but I cleaned up everything, and we're going to see that we cover it up nicely and go over with a olive green I mixed up. So that is going to be the olive green for us today, before going over the belly itself, because I'm still going to do a little bit of touch up on the belly itself as well, with some white and some orange to really just have scales in the middle of the bait today. So it's going to be a little bit of something different than I usually do, but we'll see how that goes. So that is our touch-up work today for the top. Now I'll set this off, get it dry, and then we'll touch up the belly as I said. So I've got my white and we're on the recovery mission today, so I'll now go over the belly a little bit, lighten the mood, just like that, and also go along the corner. And we'll actually leave that little bit of orange because we'll anyway go over again with some orange in the next step. So that is going to be the head for us. We've still got the scales in the middle, which is quite cool. I might actually do this more often. And now I'll let this set nicely before actually adding our orange again. And I'll try to be taking a orange fluorescent mix once again to really brighten it and get a little bit of fluorescent action into the bait. So now we're gonna go ahead. I've got my orange loaded and we'll just go over gently again, like that about, and that's gonna be the head part for us, because we don't want to put on too much color. We just want to highlight the belly to create a little bit of a flash. Now I'll do it with a tail. And that's going to be the tail part for us. We fixed all the damaged parts of our lure and I'm really happy with how it looks. So now I will get everything ready then, once this is dry, for adding some details that I'll be hand painting, some black dots, red dots, yellow dots, just to add a little bit of detail, and then we'll glue in some eyes. I'll let this lure actually dry till tomorrow before adding a clear coat, that all the moisture that I added through the paint, because it was a lot of paint that we added today, that everything is able to get out of our lure. And then tomorrow I'll be doing the clear coat, and then we'll see how the lure actually looks once I'm done. So now we're gonna start with the head part of our lure, just adding now I'll be going into the red. Just because it anyway isn't a true brown trout, we're just gonna be adding a little bit of more contrast. So now we're just gonna still add some fins. Just like that. And that is going to be the fin for our bait today. And then I'll still add in some eyes, and then we'll head into the clear coat. I won't take you with for the second side of this fin because the video is already quite long and we want to get finished. So finally we are at the last step before adding the clear coat. I'm still thinking about actually just adding the clear coat and not waiting until tomorrow, because I actually never waited. So I don't really know. If there's that much moisture, I'll still hit it with the hot air before finalizing it, but this is gonna be how it looks going into the clear coat. So let's see what we get at the final step and how the scales come out, how it changes under the clear coat, and yeah, then I'm pretty much done with another swim bait. So let's get cracking. So I decided to straight away do the clear coat, and we're just gonna go ahead and I'll take you guys with for the top part. And as you see, we'll be ending up with a really nice glossy finish, just like that. The scales come out still a little bit, we've got the details in and everything. So I'm really looking forward to this one. It was a little bit of a hassle while making it, but I think it turned out quite nicely. So if you like it, drop it in the comments. We'll see each other for the outro anyway in a second once the lure is completely finished. Hi guys, and welcome back to the outro. So we have finished another big swim bait of mine. The clear coat is still a little bit tacky. I might still go over with a little bit of a spray clear coat just to double up the hardness, but otherwise we are pretty much done. It is quite wobbly. I don't want to do too much that I damage the still a little bit soft clear coat, and I don't want to drag this out too much today still anymore because it's been a longer video, but I'm really interested to see if this bait catches something. I'll see if my colleague actually takes it out, maybe gets something and provides pictures to me. So that would be cool to see. I might take it myself pike fishing, I'm not too sure yet. Depends on how it runs. I'm still gonna do a short towards this bait as well, that you guys can see the action once it's fully cured. And we can check out if it's already consistent with the other ones I've made, because I now know how much weight has to be in and where we want to end up, and I just want to see if we are consistent already, because if we are, I'm going to make a tutorial and we'll see that we get the STL out there, that you guys can start printing your own version of it. So otherwise, I just want to say thanks once again for tuning in to another airbrushing tutorial this week, and we'll see each other. I've got something exciting waiting for us. I've actually designed a new bait where the half of the tail part is a very long swervy part, and the front is going to be a 3D printed hard bait. So we're going to go into that. Maybe I'll give a little bit of a sneak peek next week. I don't know if it's going to be ready for airbrushing yet, but we'll see how it goes. And otherwise, keep on fishing, and we'll see each other for next week's video.